Why is divine election in the biblical Exodus important for all people? Have you ever wondered why the story of the Exodus is so significant for everyone? Divine election in the biblical Exodus is a key theme that reveals God's choice to set apart the people of Israel for a greater purpose. This choice is not just about favoring one group but about using Israel as a means to bring justice, salvation, and blessings to all nations. In the Exodus narrative, we see God's commitment to redeem humanity. His grace and faithfulness extend beyond Israel, reaching out to the entire world. At its heart, divine election means that God chose Israel to be sanctified for a special mission. This mission includes a covenant relationship filled with commandments, blessings, and promises of land and descendants. Israel's deliverance from Egypt is a foundational event that showcases God's power to save and his faithfulness to his promises. This event establishes Israel as a witness among the nations, tasked with reflecting God's justice and holiness. The prophetic vision in the Old Testament emphasizes that Israel is not an isolated group, but a chosen lineage through which God's righteousness extends to all people. The significance of divine election is clear. It is intended to bless others. The Old Testament consistently presents Israel as a servant to the nations, bringing justice and hope. This illustrates that divine election is part of God's broader redemptive plan for humanity. Moreover, divine election highlights God's sovereignty and grace. It is not based on human actions or merits but on God's will and purpose. This teaches us that salvation and blessings come from God's initiative. The story of Moses and Pharaoh serves as an example of God's control over history and his purpose in salvation. Understanding divine election in Exodus helps believers today recognize that God's promises are rooted in his covenant faithfulness. It encourages trust in God's plan, knowing he calls people for his purposes. This also challenges believers to live as God's set-apart people, embodying justice and mercy in the world. In essence, divine election in the biblical Exodus is important for all people because it reveals God's plan to redeem humanity through a chosen people. It establishes Israel's role as a servant to the nations and highlights the grace-based nature of salvation. This foundational truth connects Old Testament history with the broader biblical narrative, making it relevant for every generation.